Good morning, year three. Okay then, so yesterday, Ben swore to Granny that he would never tell anybody, but as long as she told him everything. So today's chapter is called Everything. I was about your age when I stole my first diamond ring, said Granny. Ben was astonished, partly at the idea that Granny had ever been his age, which seemed impossible, and partly because of the obvious fact that 11-year-old girls do not usually steal diamonds. Glitter pens, hair clips, toy ponies, maybe. Diamonds, definitely not. I know you look at me with my Scrabble and my knitting and my fondness for cabbage, and I think I am just some boring old dear. No, said Ben, not entirely convincingly. But you forget, child, that I was young once. What was the first ring you stole? Said Ben eagerly. Did it have a really big diamond on it? The old lady chuckled. Not so big. No, it was my first one. I've still got it somewhere. Go into the kitchen, will you, Ben, and fetch the Silver Jubilee biscuit tin from the shelf. Ben shrugged as if he knew nothing about the Silver Jubilee biscuit tin and its incredible contents. Whereabouts is it, Granny? Asked Ben as he left the living room. Just on top of the larder, boy, called Granny. Chop chop, your mummy and daddy will be wondering where you are soon. Ben remembered that he had wanted to rush home for cheesy beans and sausage. Suddenly, that seemed colossally unimportant. He wasn't even feeling hungry any more. Ben re-entered the room holding the tin. It was even heavier than he remembered. He passed it to his granny. Good boy, she said, as she rummaged through the tin and picked out a particularly beautiful little sparkler. Ah, yes, this is it. To Ben, all the diamond rings looked pretty much the same. However, Granny seemed to know each of them as if they were her oldest friends. Such a little beauty, she said as she brought the ring up to her eye for closer inspection. This is the first one I stole back when I was a nipper. Ben couldn't imagine what Granny would have been like young. He had only known her as an old lady. He even imagined she had been born an old lady. That years ago in the hospital when her mother had given birth and asked the midwife if it was a boy or a girl, the midwife might have replied, "It's an old lady." I grew up in a small village, and my family were very poor, continued Granny. And up at the top of the hill was this grand country house where a lord and lady lived, Lord and Lady Davenport. It was just after the war, and we didn't have much food in those days. I was hungry, so one night at midnight, when everyone was asleep, I crept out of my mother and father's little cottage. Under the cover of darkness, I made my way through the woods and up the hill to Davenport House. Weren't you scared? Asked Ben. Yes, of course I was. Being alone in the dark woods at night, it was terrifying. There were guard dogs at the house, great big black Dobermans. So as quietly as I could, I climbed a drain pipe and found an unlocked window. I was a very little girl at 11, small for my age, so I managed to squeeze myself through a tiny gap in the window and landed behind a velvet curtain. When I pulled back the curtain, I realised I was in Lord and Lady Davenport's bedroom. Oh no, said Ben. Oh yes, continued the old lady. I thought I might just take some food, perhaps, but next to the bed I saw this little beauty. She indicated the diamond ring. Excuse me. So you just took it? Being an international jewel thief is never that simple, young man, said Granny. The Lord and Lady were snoring heavily, but if I woke them, I'd be dead. The Lord always slept with a shotgun by the bed. A shotgun? Asked Ben. Yes, he was posh, and being posh, he liked hunting pheasants, so he owned many guns. Ben was sweating with nerves. But he didn't wake up and try and shoot you, did he? Be patient, young man, all in good time. I crept over to Lady Davenport's side of the bed and picked up the diamond ring. I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. I had never seen one up close before. My mother would never have dreamed of owning one. I don't need jewels, she would say to us children. You are my little diamonds." I wondered at the diamond in my hand for a moment. It was the most gorgeous thing I had ever seen in my life. Then, suddenly, there was an almighty noise. Ben frowned. What was it? Lord Davenport was a big, fat, greedy man. He must have had too much to eat earlier, because he let out the most enormous burp. Ben laughed, and Granny laughed too. He knew burps weren't supposed to be funny, but couldn't help laughing. "It was so loud," said Granny, still chuckling. "Burp," she mimicked. Ben was helpless with laughter now. "It was so loud," continued Granny, "that I was startled and dropped the ring on the polished wooden floor. It made quite a bang as it hit the teak, and both Lord and Lady Davenport woke up. "Oh no!" "Oh yes." So I grabbed the ring and ran back to the open window. I didn't dare look behind me, as I could hear Lord Davenport cocking his shotgun. I leapt down onto the grass, and all of a sudden the lights in the house came on, and the dogs were barking, and I was running for my life. Then I heard a deafening sound. "Another burp?" asked Ben. "No, a gunshot this time. Lord Davenport was shooting at me as I ran down the hill and back to the woods." "Then what happened?" Granny looked at her little gold watch. "My dear, you had better head home now. Your mummy and daddy will be worried sick." "I doubt it," said Ben. "All they care about is stupid ballroom dancing." "That's not true," said Granny unexpectedly. "You know they love you." "I want to hear the end of the story," said Ben, frustrated. He was desperate to know what happened next. "You will, another day." "But Granny—" "Ben, you have to go home." "That's not fair." "Ben, you must leave now. I can tell you what happened when you come another day." "But—" "To be continued," she said. Right then, very interesting. Okay, so your task today is that you are going to finish off Granny's story about the theft of her first ring. Okay, so remember to write in first person as if you are Granny talking about the theft. Okay, so we're going to be doing some narrative writing today. So you're going to be writing in first person. So you need to make sure that you are writing as if you are Granny. Okay, so you are Granny. Okay, you're going to be writing a story, remember, about how you stole your first ring. Okay, so that's just to tell you again what you're going to be doing today. Right then, so I've copied and pasted the text from the book. Okay, so I'll show you where it says, "So I grabbed the ring and ran back to the open window." So if we go back to the book, we can see that here. "So I grabbed the ring and ran back to the open window." Okay, so this bit here is what is on my flip chart today. However, I think we can up-level this start of the story, and then you can use the start of the story, you can magpie it, and you can begin your story with the same start. Okay, so I'm going to just move this up here. Right then, so I'm going to put my writing a bit smaller so we can get both of them on. Okay, so I grabbed the ring and ran back to the open window. Okay, so I want to describe the ring. So I grabbed, actually, if we want to say how we grabbed, we can use an adverb. So I quickly grabbed the sparkly gold ring. Okay, so straight away I've up-leveled that start of the story, that sentence, by using an adverb, a 2A sentence, and ran back to the open window. Okay, I didn't dare look behind me as I could hear Lord Davenport cocking his shotgun. I think that's okay as it is. I didn't dare look behind me as I could hear Lord Davenport. Remember to put capital letters for Lord Davenport's name. Lord Davenport cocking his shop. Okay. I leapt down onto the grass, and all of a sudden the lights in the house came on and the dogs were barking and I was running for my life. So that sentence there has got a lot of ands in. All right, so we can change that up a bit. Okay, so where do we start off? I leapt down onto the grass. Okay, so before I knew it, so using a fronted adverbial there, I leapt down onto the freshly cut grass. Yeah, so we've used a 2A sentence there. I've said that it's freshly cut. So it's nice and short, it's not long. Before I knew it, I leapt down onto the freshly cut grass and all of a sudden the lights in the house came on. Okay, so we could leave that one in. And all of a sudden the lights in the house came on. Yeah, we'll keep that one. I'm going to put a full stop there, even though it's got and, I'm going to split those two sentences up, okay? So the large scary looking dogs were barking extremely loud. I think I spelled extremely wrong there. There we go. Extremely loud. And I was running for my life. Then I heard a deafening sound. Okay, so all of a sudden, using a fronted adverbial there, making sure that you've put a comma after it. All of a sudden, I heard a, let's just move that up so we can carry on writing. I heard a deafening sound. Okay then, so you can see that we have up-leveled this start of the sentence. Yes, it's great, David Walliams has used it. However, I know at Waterside we can do a lot better than David Walliams. Okay, so you need to make sure that today you are going to continue this story and you're going to tell me what happened when you stole your first ring, because you are Granny writing this story. Now, Ben doesn't know the rest of this story because Granny stopped. Okay, so you're going to carry on and you're going to tell me and Mr. Grocott how you managed to get away from the Devonport's house, how you managed to run all the way home, and how you've still managed to keep that diamond ring. Okay, so please make sure that today in your sentence you are using 2A sentences. You are using the first person. You are Granny. You are using adverbs. You can get some prepositions in there. Prepositions. You can get some fronted adverbials in there. Okay. You can get an exclamation sentence in there. You can get a question sentence. And you can use commas in a list. And I think that's what you should all be including today. Okay, making sure obviously we've still got capital letters, full stops, and that your work makes sense. Okay, so the whole time that I was writing my up-leveled start, I was reading it back through to myself and making sure it makes sense. Please do that, okay? If you're struggling for different words, remember to use a dictionary. You can use one online, or you can use a thesaurus if you want to know different synonyms for words, okay? So this is just the start of your story. This is not all of it, but I don't want you to be spending hours and hours on this story. Just spend about 45 minutes and that will be perfect, okay? Please make sure you are emailing myself or Mr. Crowcott if you need any help or support with this. Okay, you can magpie this starter. Please don't magpie this starter here, because actually this is what a good one looks like. Oh, here. Okay, so you can magpie the start of that, but please make sure you finish the whole of the story about how you got home with the diamond ring. Okay, have a fabulous day. Please, please, please email us if you need any help or support. We are always here. Looking forward to reading your stories. Bye.